Welcome to Girlish Gurus. I'm Joy.
And I'm Susan. And we're here to have discussions about topics on many subjects that we hope are informative, uplifting, and fun.
So, let's get started.
Let's.
Thank you for joining us for part 2 of Good Foods for a Healthy Life with Lorraine Miano.
Okay, so what to next?
Well, we talked about dairy, how dairy could be bad for you, but also gluten.
Oh, yeah.
So I have 2 daughters with celiac disease. So if you have celiac disease, you cannot eat gluten. It damages your intestines and then affects everything in your body because your intestines don't work properly. You can't absorb your nutrients. My daughter actually had osteopenia at age 19, which has been reversed once she went gluten-free. My other daughter was misdiagnosed for many years and had severe anemia, which she actually had to see an oncologist to get it under control. Under control. And it took years for her to bring back the iron levels. And so it can be very damaging. So if you feel that you are having issues such as IBS or possibly are feeling fatigued all the time, different things like that, I highly suggest getting tested for celiac disease, which is just a simple blood work to test your antibodies to see if you have elevated antibodies. And then if they are elevated, then they do endoscopy to see if your intestines are damaged. However, for the rest of the people, there are a certain percentage that are gluten intolerant, which just means it bothers them. They may have IBS symptoms from it or just gastro problems. They may be allergic to it, like allergic to anything else. So, of course, those people want to stay away from it. I would say most people, if you could, stay away from gluten because it can be inflammatory, but it's not necessary. So again, according to how your body feels when you eat gluten. So gluten we find in all breads, cereals, pastas, anything with wheat, rye.
Oh, soy. Some like soy sauce.
Soy sauce, they use wheat. Yeah, because they put wheat in it. So what you want to use is tamari sauce and organic.
Can't you use coconut aminos as well? Yeah.
There's a lot of hidden gluten.
Yes.
In a lot of things.
Lots of mayonnaise.
You'd be surprised, yes.
I mean, a lot of things.
And if you do think you may have celiac disease, do not stop eating gluten until you're tested because you'll get a false negative if you stop. If you have stopped already and would like to be tested, you need to eat gluten for at least 2 weeks, I think, before you can be tested to see if it affects you.
I'd go on like a sandwich binge, man.
That might be fun, actually.
I know. I love a sandwich.
Now, if you're going to eat bread, let's say, my understanding is if you can find whole sprouted,
so it's not
that's
processed flour.
So that's the best. If
like Ezekiel bread is a good one.
So if you feel you might have an intolerance and you want to try something else from mainstream bread
like
products,
a healthier one.
Yeah.
Because, so to eat gluten-free doesn't mean start eating gluten-free processed foods.
No.
Okay, so that doesn't mean eat gluten-free breads and pastas. And I mean, yes, you can, but in moderation because those are actually higher in sugars. So your glycemic index will be raised if you start eating processed gluten-free foods. There's so many things you can eat that are gluten-free. I remember when my daughter was diagnosed, she called me up crying. I'm at the supermarket. I do not know what to eat. I can't eat anything. And I said, okay, calm down. I said, well, let's just think about this. You eat meat, so you can eat meat. You can eat fish. You can eat rice. You can eat potatoes. You can eat vegetables. There are so many things you can eat.
Yes.
So let's pay attention to what you can put on your plate versus
what you can't.
You can't.
Yeah. And if you love pasta, try spaghetti squash instead of doing
and actually they even have gluten-free pasta now that is a little bit healthier, made from plants or lentils or different things,
chickpeas, all kinds of different things. Okay. Oh boy. Lots of stuff. So we also looked at a study from Northwestern Medical School that talked about healthy brain foods, and we'll provide that to you. But not surprisingly, the list was very similar to the foods we just talked about as far as being superfoods. A couple are added for various reasons, but there is a focus now, at least I've been aware of, us making sure we've got healthy brains, especially women, because we are so much more prone to Alzheimer's,
dementia.
And as Lorraine mentioned early on, that's one of the risks after menopause is the risk of dementia. So we do have to be very cognizant of that. And so any foods that can help with that, the higher functioning of your brain and your memory, you should be focusing on them as well. Luckily, the list is very similar.
Right.
So that
red
helps.
berries, I know, healthy fats, things like that. And okay.
Stay away from sugar, processed sugar.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Statins. So as we get into this age, middle age and beyond, we have issues with cholesterol, okay? And there is a tendency to prescribe statins to people who have elevated or high cholesterol, okay? Now, there's a couple of things about that. Recently, there's a study that's come out where people who have been complaining about muscle pain after they've been prescribed statins by their healthcare provider, that's been proven to be true now. Okay. But the other thing that worries me is people who are taking statins, they are removing a lot of the fats from their circulatory system, and that could cause problems for them as they get older in terms of dementia, because you need the fats to help your brain function.
For brain health.
And your hormones. All of your hormones. Yeah.
So statins are something that concern me when it comes to brain health. I'm assuming there's not a lot of studies or connective evidence showing that statins can cause an elevation in dementia, but that's something that I think is a no-brainer. Haha, no pun intended.
Can't help yourself.
I can't help myself.
Well,
no.
they've demonized cholesterol too.
They have.
And cholesterol is so important for the hormones, right? So fat leads to the cholesterol, leads to the hormone.
Well, I mean, we could probably do an episode just on this stuff, and maybe we should, is talking about how prescription medications impact your health, and how do you manage that? I think we did have a conversation about being over medicated.
Polypharmacy.
So I look for a future episode on that, because we all feel that's a very important topic to discuss. But I mean, this is a perfect example of that. And a lot of people's cholesterol issues are not because of lifestyle or food. They're
it's hereditary.
Genetic. And I mean, what do you do?
Yeah. In my husband's instance, there's several things going on, but at one point his cholesterol was a little high, and he said to the doctor, I really don't want to take a statin. He goes, well, you're over 50. You really should be on a statin. It was like his age that made the difference or whatever. And my husband said, well, my wife's going to help me. We're going to do this with food. And he goes, there is no way you're going to lower your cholesterol with your diet. Well, when he went back the next time, it had been lowered 40 points.
Of course you can do it with your food.
But this is from a cardiologist.
That's
was a cardiologist
terrible.
told him that. So I think that if people are more aware of how they can,
It's education.
Yeah. And cholesterol is not bad per se. Yes, there's the good cholesterol, right? The HDL and the LDL. So we want our HDL to be high, and a lot of these superfoods help that happen. So if you're incorporating a lot of these things in your diet, you're raising the HDL. If your HDL, I think it's like 100, they want it to be 100 or above for a good HDL level.
I actually read something today, speaking of using food. I haven't read the whole article, but it certainly piqued my interest. Is the guy that started Whole Foods has started a new company, and they're expanding and getting more investors. And part of the whole focus of this company, and I can't remember the name of it, but I can post the information. They're going to be focusing on food as medicine. And I love that.
Yes.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, I got to read more about this. This is so interesting to me.
Food is medicine.
That's right. What you eat. You are what you eat.
That's
right.
And of course, I think it's fabulous that it's him who started Whole Foods. This is his new venture since he sold Whole Foods to Amazon, that he's looking to provide health options for people.
It's a great thing.
Yay, hooray.
I know. Yay.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've talked before on our podcast about EWG, which stands for
Environmental Working Group.
Thank you. And they come out every year with a Dirty Dozen and a Clean 15, which are different foods that either the Dirty Dozen are high with pesticides. And so you need to be very cautious and careful when you're cleaning them before you eat them and that kind of thing. And then there's the Clean 15, which are supposed to be safer and already healthy, right?
Yeah.
So we can talk a little bit about those, but we can also provide a link for you to find those.
I think if you just Google Clean 15 or Dirty Dozen, it's going to come up because everybody, that's becoming quite mainstream now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
good.
and the Dirty Dozen. So, first of all, as much as you can, try to eat organic produce as much as you can, but it can be expensive. So, this is where the Dirty Dozen comes in. So, each year it changes. The Dirty Dozen are the 12 things you should most definitely buy organic and not conventional because they have the highest load, right? So, I think strawberries was the number one on the list,
Strawberries was the number one, yes. There's spinach, kale, collard, and mustard greens, peaches, pears, nectarines, apples, grapes, bell and hot peppers, cherries, blueberries, and green beans.
Potatoes wasn't on that list? That's a surprise. Usually potatoes is on the list.
Well, there's an extended list, which I didn't...
Yeah, the extended one is they're not on either list, so they fall somewhere
in the middle.
In the
and
middle.
that might have been in between because I think sweet potatoes were on the Clean 15, but not regular potatoes. So they might have fallen in between. But as I said, we'll provide the links so you guys can look these up. But it's good to pay attention to this stuff.
And
so
generally,
that you know.
the things that are on the Clean 15 are things with like a peel, like a thicker peel.
Like an avocado or a banana.
Yeah, generally, because they're more protected.
Yeah. Mushrooms are on there because they're grown in the dark in Manure, yes. I was trying to think of the right word to say.
Poop.
There it is.
There it is.
Poop. There it is. Poop. There it is. Oh, we're going to say it. We might as well make it a joke.
Watermelon's on there too. So, but I have there's a question that I've never researched, but have the question about is like farm markets. Is the produce at the farm markets always considered organic or not? So how do you know? Because I would guess they're not as held to the standard as the grocery stores would be to show you what's organic and what isn't.
So this is a tricky one because really, ideally, you should eat what's in season for your body. So going to a farmer's market is probably your best option. You'll get exactly what's in season. However, I tend to think that organic should be the number one thing you should look at, and then local.
Okay.
Because I've been to a few farmers markets where I had a hard time finding any organic produce, and I understand that because it's an expensive process. And if you're a small farmer, a lot of them will farm organically, but because they're close to something else that might not be organic certified, then they can't be certified. There might be something on the property. There might be something very close to them. So I would look for those farmers if you can, because you can ask them, say, how do you grow? Do you use pesticides, whatever? And and a lot of them will say, no, we don't. However, it's too expensive a process to become organically certified.
Right. I have a friend in California who I was talking to him about that, and he said in California they require even the farmers markets to tell you if it's organic or it's not. But he's gotten to know some of the farmers, and that's exactly what one of them told him, that she couldn't afford any longer to keep the certification, but she's still farming the exact same way. She hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It's just she can't put that certification on her food.
Yeah.
So it is important to ask, because you never know, and hopefully the farmers are going to be honest with you
or try to grow your own.
Or try to grow your own. Yeah. That's right.
Questions have come up. People have asked me, are conventional vegetables and fruit less nutrient dense than organic? So they've done studies on this, and supposedly they're not. Nutrient wise, they're the same. So then people say, so why am I buying organic? And it's because conventional produce is doused in pesticides. And many of them are GMO, genetically modified organisms, which make them more available to absorb pesticides and not die. And some of them are even genetically modified to produce their own pesticide. So those are the reasons. And those pesticides that they use, or I forget what the other chemical, those are endocrine disruptors, like major endocrine disruptors. They'll mess with your hormones. So not to mention carcinogens, increased cancer risks, so forth, so on. So many autoimmune diseases. These are all like things that are like hanging out in your body and actually can cause obesity, because fat cells are wrapped around these toxins in your body and can cause estrogen dominance and weight gain and different things. Obesogens, they're called.
Well, think about
obesogens.
Think about before all this stuff was being used, and our ancestors, and how a lot of them grew their own food, or before they were using this stuff to buy food elsewhere, they didn't have the weight problems we have now.
No.
So there were a lot of things they were doing different lifestyle wise as well, but they didn't have processed foods. They didn't have all these pesticides and chemicals on their food.
They were outside more.
They were outside. They, moving a lot of things.
We can do another whole episode on what I call the 5 M's of menopause, 2 of which are meals and movement, because those are so important for our health.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting to look back at history and see there are some things we have not done well moving forward.
Right.
It's not in my mind that we've progressed very well. And that's definitely one of them, I think.
Yeah. Thankfully, there are people, like you said, this Whole Foods CEO who's stepping up.
Yes.
Now. They know that something's got to change.
Yeah.
Because I think our children today are expected to have a lower life expectancy than we have, and it usually has gone up each year. Right. Longer now. For the first time, they said they're going to have a lower life expectancy. That's pretty scary.
It is. It shouldn't be, but it is. I can guarantee you, a big part of it's processed food. Sugar.
Yeah, well, I grew up on Captain Crunch myself,
It
so
all started in the 60s.
Yeah.
Well,
I grew up on Pop-Tarts.
Yes.
Tang.
Me too.
Pepsi.
And
I'm
Captain
sorry.
Crunch.
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to cut this
Charms.
part out. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut this part out. Oh my god, we're never gonna get a sponsor. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We don't want those.
Hey,
You can cut me out.
General Mills and all those people. Yeah, no, those people are not gonna be our friends, I'm sure.
I did see something too, where Post is now making a cereal to help to eat before you go to bed,
I thought you were gonna say something else.
and it's supposed to help you sleep better, but probably melatonin of some sort.
Speaking of cereal companies, did you know? So I follow Food Babe.
Okay.
I think she's wonderful. She's done great things for the food industry, making people aware of actually what they're eating. So the food companies that are giving us these certain cereals that we've talked about, actually in the UK don't have as many of the toxins, food coloring, carcinogens, whatever you want to call it, in it. They create a healthier food for the UK, Europe, compared to what we are eating here.
Their standards are higher.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew that.
Yeah.
There are certain things that you can get here that you can't get there.
Yeah.
Like certain types of M&Ms. And like you can't get Cool Ranch Doritos over there, and I don't think you can get Doritos at all. I had a friend who was a foreign exchange student when I was in high school, and he was from Germany, and a couple times he asked me to send him Doritos because you can't get Doritos over there. And the reason why is because they don't pass food standard inspections.
Yeah. That's a little scary
It's
too.
disturbing.
It is disturbing.
Yes, and skincare is another one we could talk about.
Skincare is
Oh,
a
yeah.
big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we did. Didn't we talk about that recently?
We did.
Little bit.
products.
We
Safe
all
products, yes.
safe
yes,
products,
right,
yes.
right,
So
right.
skincare is another one. Safe products, yes. You can go back and listen to that episode. These episodes are so good.
Let's now talk about maybe some ways to plan meals that are going to be healthier. We aren't going to talk about diets because
Yeah.
that's
Diet. Well, diet.
Diet has the word die in it.
Yeah. And diet just gives us that negative connotation.
yeah.
Right? So
of eliminating,
right.
right?
Right.
Deprivation.
Yeah.
Deprivation.
Yeah.
We
That's
don't
it.
want to. We don't want to deprive ourselves.
No.
We want to eat healthy. And I always like to encourage women, as you're on this journey to eat a healthier meal plan, know that you will lose those cravings. You will actually, your body will change, and you will crave, your cravings will be for healthy foods.
It's true.
Really. You will want those healthy things because you'll know how good your body feels. And we have that saying, nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. And it's true. I know it's trite maybe, but to say something.
But it's true.
It's true.
Right. And there's a reason why those sayings stick with us, because they are catchy. And there is that internal grain of, yes, it's true. Nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. Yes, for sure. Yeah. Especially if you are a menopausal female.
Yeah.
Believe me.
and not to dismiss the difficulty of possibly reaching that goal. And that's why baby steps are so important.
Right.
Do not go cold turkey on anything. Crowd out the bad stuff. So even like when you're eating.
I like that idea.
Yeah, just start eating. All right, maybe don't, like if you're used to having a cookie every day, let's say, okay, don't stop having your cookie, but maybe add in healthier things as snacks throughout the day, like a handful of nuts or a piece of fruit. And then possibly that'll crowd out that craving for that cookie.
Yeah.
Save the cookie for the weekend.
I do love a cookie.
Yeah. Cookies are good. And there are healthy cookies.
Yeah.
You can
that actually taste good.
Yeah.
You can make your own healthy cookies.
Yeah.
Yes, my husband does it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when talking about meals, I think the simplest, the better. You don't have to go crazy with all these crazy recipes. Chop this, chop that, do this, do that, make this gravy, make this sauce. Very simple. Simple ways to start are, like I said, take a piece of salmon, grill it, have a little salad. Make your own dressing. Keep away from bottled dressings. Just simple olive oil and vinegar. You can add, I add crushed garlic to it, shake it up, salt and pepper, and it's delicious. You just let it marinate for a little while, and you have a delicious garlic dressing. You can make, that sounded very New York, garlic.
Well,
I was born in New York, so I'm okay with that.
More of it comes out.
just as my Pittsburgh accent comes out sometimes.
But there are so many easy dressings to make with lemon juice, different things like
Mustard, you can make a vinaigrette. Yeah.
Right, because salad dressings, bottled salad dressings are usually very high in sugars.
Yeah.
And gluten.
And some of them have gluten.
Yeah.
Yep. All kinds of stuff in there. Yeah.
I know one of my favorite meals is just to do a chicken breast and broccoli. And I love that. To me, that's such a healthy dinner, and it's delicious.
Yeah, simple things that you can pop in the oven, and that's it.
Yeah.
Roasted veggies, delicious.
Love it.
Toss it with olive oil, salt, and pepper. Very simple things that you can do that are healthy, so you don't have to work, because that becomes like a mental block for a lot of women. What am I going to make for dinner? What am I going to make for dinner?
Yeah.
So if it can just be fresh veggies, maybe a little brown rice if you want, beans or whatever. Saute it with a little garlic and oil, and you've got a meal.
And even potatoes can be healthy if you're not smothering them with butter and sour cream and all that kind of
There's
stuff.
my downfall. My one true love is the potato.
Although a good grass-fed butter is not too bad.
No, that's right.
I was going to say, that is a healthy fat.
Then
Yeah,
that's
grass-fed
what
butter.
I try to use Kerry butter.
Kerrygold.
Kerrygold, yeah. But I cut up small potatoes in little wedges, toss them in olive oil, and just season them and stick them in the oven. And I love those. And so that's a healthy potato without having to have all the non-healthy.
It's not fried. That's
right.
And I'll tell you, potatoes are my downfall. I mean,
Mine too.
French fries, potato chips. So I don't buy them. I don't keep them in the house because those are the things that I love.
My secret lover. The potato. It is.
Yeah.
And I never met a potato I didn't like. Even the bad ones are good.
I know. It's true.
Right.
Yes. Even Pringles, and those are terrible for you.
Yes.
I love those things. Oh my God. Gonna have to cut that out. I love a tater tot.
I know. And I know. So speaking about
So
all
good.
those things, so now you may live with someone who loves all that stuff, which makes it difficult for you to, stick to a certain meal plan. So those are things that you can work on in baby steps. I've actually, I like to say, cured my husband.
Oh boy.
So he does a lot better because he did have a sweet tooth at one point, and he used to put like the 2 teaspoons of sugar in his coffee, and now he uses none. He still uses a little bit of half and half, but no sugar, because now he said and this is so true. He said the littlest amount in there, and it would taste so sweet he couldn't drink it.
And that is true.
Yeah. So little by little. So ladies, if you are putting any kind of flavoring or sugar, just cut back a little bit each week. You know, if you use a teaspoon, cut back to half a teaspoon. Do that for a week, and then back to a quarter and eventually you will not even crave that sugar.
And I've done that. I used to put sugar in my coffee. I don't anymore.
No.
And I can't even imagine doing it now.
Yeah.
Because I think it would taste too sweet for me.
And I have found that when I go and I eat something that's sweet, let's say, for example, Monday night dinner, we have a dessert, and I'll say, well, I'm going to have a little bite of that. Wow, it is so sweet, I can barely stand it. It is just surprising to me how sweet it tastes after I've stopped eating sugar, basically.
Yeah.
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 Now,
sugar's like crack.
Oh, yeah. I do love my dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate's good for you.
And I have a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just like a little wedge of it at night.
Or, a third of a bar, which is 140 calories. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But it's good. It's good. And that kind of satisfies that.
A little wedge.
Yeah. That little special treat.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about simple meals and the best way to plan those meals for you. And there are all kinds of diets out there. We know that. But if you can steer away from looking at them as diets and really look for things that are going to help you just eat healthier for longevity, for just, feeling good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think we've all are familiar with the blue zone, and that promotes the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
Which again, I hate to say that word diet, but
Mediterranean food plan.
Yeah.
Mediterranean way of eating.
Yes.
But it has proven to be a very healthy way to focus your food intake. There's other things that go along with it about lifestyle that are very interesting and important as well. And we can do a whole show on that because it is fascinating. It really is.
We should.
Yeah,
do the
for
blue
sure.
zones.
I think so too. I think it would be really interesting to do. But the food part of it alone is fascinating to me.
Yeah. So the Mediterranean diet, I mean, it has a little bit of everything, but it's all whole food based, right? It has healthy fats. It's got the fish and meat. But actually, in the Mediterranean diet, you only eat meat a couple of times a week and fish a couple of times a week. And it's usually a small amount, like 2 to 4 ounces.
Right.
And you mostly fill your plate with vegetables. So there are wonderful recipes out there that are, again, easy to make. But if you can focus on those types of whole foods, then you're guaranteed to feel better. I mean, especially women, especially for their hormone balance.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nuts and seeds and healthy fats and good protein. We do need protein.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Lots of fruits and vegetables. So, and we'll put a link to some information maybe about the blue zones or a Mediterranean diet so that if you aren't familiar, you can look that up. But
And I do have, I had told Joy this earlier, I do have a free guide that's eating for hormone balance, which we can put the link to that
that'd
too.
be awesome.
Yeah, so it's a simple way to start to get these certain superfoods into your diet. It gives you a little explanation about that.
Okay. I'm going to just a couple of things that did come up in the blue zone that I found interesting. They say retreat from meat, and Dan Butner actually says, and he's the person that kind of founded the blue zones. And in his one book, he says monthly you should retreat from meat. That blue zone centenarians eat about 2 ounces or less about 6 times per month, which is amazing to me. So that's not a lot. Reduce the dairy. Forget the sugar, eliminate eggs. You shouldn't really have more than, I think, 1 per week, 1 to 2 per week is what he says. And I can't read my own little chart here, but
And just
You need glasses?
and in case you
it's
are
dark. It's because it's dark.
Oh,
I can't.
I was going to say, in
read
case you aren't aware of what the blue zones are, there are 5 areas in the world where they have the greatest amount of centenarians.
Right.
So these people have lived the longest, and the areas are, I think it's Icaria, Greece, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Loma Linda, California, Okinawa, Japan, and Sardinia in Italy.
Right.
So they have like the highest percentage of centenarians.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, go easy on fish, but still they're promoting fish, fewer than 3 ounces up to 3 times weekly. Then,
I think I mixed that up with eggs.
Oh, that's probably it. Snack on nuts, drink mostly water and a little bit of tea and wine, coffee too. Daily dose of beans and whole foods, and 95 to 100% plant-based. Mm-hmm. So, and that's going to be hard for a lot of people, but it's a guide.
Right.
It's a guide, and you don't have to.
We do the best we can.
Yeah.
You see how you feel.
So anyway.
Yeah. It's a great start.
It is a great start. And then, like I said, just look to it for guidance.
Yeah.
Mostly, I think Michael Pollan says it best. Well, you say eat whole foods, right? But Michael Pollan says it best. Eat food, not too much, mostly plants.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Good advice.
Good advice.
Good advice.
All right.
For everyone.
Thank you so much for being on. Lorraine. It's always so fun having you.
Thanks
it's a pleasure.
so much for all the information and the guidance. We appreciate it.
And I like that we always come up with the next episode when we're doing
I know. Gee.
Or 5.
Right.
That's right. There's plenty to talk about.
Right.
That's going to be so helpful for women out there that I never heard it before I met you. I never heard of most of the things that we talk about. And if I hadn't met you, I would have been in a world of hurt going through menopause and, all those kinds of things.
Well,
so
we're all in this together.
Yep, that's right.
yeah.
All in it together.
So moms out there talking to your girls, make sure they talk to them at every age, starting early.
Right.
And make them aware of how great a time of their life menopause can be.
Yeah.
True.
How it can be magical.
It will be magical.
Yes, that's right. All right, ladies. Thanks so much.
Sorry.
Bye.
That was a kiss.
Now is an excellent opportunity for us to promote our friend Lorraine's retreat. So if any of you have been listening to the podcast for a while, and we hope you all have, we have had Lorraine Miano
Yes.
on as a guest a couple of times. And she is a menopause-focused health coach. And she is wonderful. We love her so much. She's wonderful. She and Leslie Ender have created a retreat for women who are 45 and older. And it's called Amble and Rove Through Your Magical Menopause. I just love it. I think it's hysterical. It's October the 15th through the 21st, and it's in Italy.
Yes.
Tuscany. So we're going to put a link in the notes of this podcast episode, and we'll put links for all of the articles and information in the notes. But this is an inexpensive retreat, and there's going to be so much good stuff. We're going to continue to promote it until the seats are sold, and I think they're filling up pretty quickly.
Yeah, they are filling up quickly. So if you are interested, please reach out through the link and secure your spot.
And here are some of the things that are included in this trip. Wait till you hear.
Yeah.
You're going to visit quaint medieval villages. You're going to tour Florence. Possibly have access to a massage. I'm just saying. You'll have a wine tasting and tour, truffle hunt, cooking classes. You're going to do some yoga and meditation. 2 of my favorite things. Some workshops on holistic health and navigating midlife. All of your meals are included, and I'm sure there's going to be a fair amount of wine and other activities. And if you have a girlfriend or a sister that you would like to take on this trip with you, this would be a great opportunity for a couple of you to go, or a small group, but you're going to have to sign up quickly because the rooms are going fast.
We hope you will at least check it out and see if it's something of interest to you.
Yes. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Girlish Gurus. We hope you'll join us next time for another fun and interesting topic. And please be sure to check the notes for information and links that were included in this discussion today.
Also, don't forget you can find us on our social media platforms, starting with Instagram, Facebook, and now, including YouTube. You can find us by searching Girlish Gurus. And please remember to give this episode a good review and share it with your girlfriends, because the more interaction we get with our podcast episodes, the more episodes we can post. Finally, you can find us on our website, girlishgurus.com.
Thanks again.
See you next time.
Bye.